Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Life with Stephanie and I'm Stephanie. So I've been sharing some videos with you guys, top 5 tips, some quick easy videos for you guys to get to know a little bit about being a military spouse and some tips that I have learned along the way that I thought might be helpful for you. Today's video is a little different. We're gonna share a story. A lot of friends and family, my nickname was Story because I like to tell stories. And I thought this video might be helpful for some of you, or maybe you're perusing, trying to find out stories about first duty station or moving, that sort of thing within the military. So let's get into it. For us, we moved from Washington State all the way out to Georgia. So it was a very long move. Our story is a little unique because my husband had a career before for 7 years, and he changed his career, which has been an amazing change for him. That's a whole other story for another day. And we are just super blessed that he is doing what he loves and he feels called to do to serve his country. So we, during his training and all of that, after selling our house, we had owned a house. I ended up taking our dog and I went to Washington. So that is where I was to help with my godmother, and it was a little bit closer to my family because I knew who knew where we were going, and I knew that this would be a great opportunity during COVID to spend some time with some loved ones back in my home states and hometown. So it was a huge blessing and it was wonderful distraction as well, and an opportunity to serve others and to be served by them as well. So my husband was not cleared because his home of record when he joined was Wisconsin, which is where we came from. Originally, it's where we sold our house. Since his home state when he joined was Wisconsin, there are some different things. That's why our story is a little bit different. But I know there's some people to save money, they might go home and move in with family, that sort of thing. Great, but just keep those things in mind, that some of those things for moving expenses, if you're moving yourself, may not be covered. All our stuff was stored with his family, so that was super helpful. It was just he had to get me back to Wisconsin so we could get our stuff. So for us, we rented truck. For some odd reason, it was cheaper for us to rent a truck. We did a self move. We actually rented from Oregon. So my family was in Oregon and I had some furniture pieces that I had refinished that were there to move to Wisconsin, and then we loaded the truck all the rest of the way. So we had kind of a strict timeline, like he had some time off, but he also had to put down when he was gonna be back on post. So we took the time for him and we broke it up so that we had basically got the truck, and that same day we went up to Washington, grabbed the rest of the things, and we headed to Idaho. And we stopped with friends and family along the way. Yes, during COVID, and it was a huge blessing and it was wonderful to see everyone. That was great. But we had some long days because we made it to Wisconsin in about 3 days. 3 days, I think. Was it 3? We left on a Monday, got in on a Wednesday. Trying to think where we stopped. Okay, first night was Monday was Idaho, Tuesday was Wyoming, sounds right, and then Nebraska, and then and then Wisconsin. So we spent a couple days in Wisconsin, saw some family, packed everything up. We had some awesome helpers helping us load. His parents were awesome, and then we had some others drive down to see me and see us off, and that was great. So then we actually ended up leaving a little bit earlier than anticipated. We stopped in Chicago, stopped in Tennessee, and then came here. Moving with the truck, something I forgot, and we have moved a lot in previous career moves, and I always forget this. The truck is a lot slower. There is a governor control on those trucks. Yeah, so if GPS says one thing, add a couple extra hours on just for stops and not being able to go 80 through Wyoming when you can. Besides that, I diverge. we ended up kind of making our way. And then on our end here, we were kind of rushed. We thought about it, but we didn't do it. We thought about doing that first weight ticket when we were in Oregon, when it was empty, and we just didn't have the time by the time we got the truck and all of that. So before we even got into Georgia, we were in Alabama, we did the weight ticket stuff. We struggled to find one. My husband was trying to figure that out, and he ended up calling the numbers that were on his list that he was given from the transportation office, and they were not the correct numbers or the correct places. So make sure you check that out first. The other thing to check out beforehand is be aware there's weight limits as well. So for us, his weight limit was 8,000 pounds. We loaded it. We also got too small of a truck. So make sure you kind of know what you have. The other thing we were not aware of and was super helpful is mostly along the way we got to stay with friends and family. But there was one time we had to get a hotel, and military does not pay for the food or the hotel either. They will help reimburse for gas and that sort of thing, the transportation side of things when you're doing a self-move. And I think that's true with moving with having the military do it. Like you don't see the money for the actual move side of things. So for us, it was a little more expensive because we had to buy his flight to and pay out of our pocket. Thankfully, we had miles to Washington, and then we drove. So we came back and we got moved in, and it was later than expected. It was in the rain, but the really nice thing is he had some of his buddies that he let know. We made sure we had some pizza and beer and water, and it was wonderful to have their help, and it went very quick and efficient. So that was kind of our first duty station. Not a huge story, but that's our story for us. A little bit different than most. Usually you would move from kind of where you were, but for us it was a little bit different, and it was enjoyable, even if we were driving separate vehicles and super tired. So that's the other thing is for us, we were driving separate vehicles, and so made a little bit longer trip, whereas before we used to switch off drivers and we couldn't really do that. If you have that opportunity or have some family that are gonna travel with you and you can do that, that's great. I definitely recommend that, and I definitely recommend trying to stop along the way and find some fun things to do. With COVID, we didn't know, and my dietary restrictions that I have, we didn't really stop for places. We just had everything packed. We had coolers packed, we had food. We'd stop for our breaks, we'd kind of eat, we'd have stuff ready to eat on the road, and that's what worked for us. But I don't always recommend it. I do recommend trying to stop along the way. We're also trying to save the most money because we knew out of pocket we would be spending some money, and we wouldn't be seeing everything. So that's the other thing to keep in mind is once you turn money in, if you're doing a self move, it will take a while to get it. So be aware of that. We thankfully had saved up and had some money set aside for it. Just keeping that in mind that was what we were doing. So hopefully this is a helpful video. Hopefully you enjoyed this story, and thanks for watching. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, and be sure to click that bell so you can make sure to be informed for our next videos. All right, bye everyone. We'll see you next time.